Hey guys, Tony's right. How are you? So, I am here with a video. You're not going to see this on the 27th. I think I kind of did all the videos for that. I'm trying to make sure I don't have like 5 videos a week. I think it's just, like, it's curated to have like 1 to 3 and have them each be something different and exciting. I'm trying to like do better with that. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna see if I put something in the freezer. Let me see, hold on. Okay, I'm back. It wasn't in the freezer, but I wanted to drink my Snapple. I wanted to make sure it was like cool enough to drink. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, so this video is going to be about me getting the May 2026 poetry book, but I think I left that joint in the car. I don't know. I think I left it in the car. Anyway, so this one is going to be about wanting to write a new poetry collection and definitely knowing that this is the track that I'm on. We sent our thesis to the printer. We are gonna get that back in a few weeks or whatever, and then we have some free time, so we're just promoting our graduate reading. I'm on the social media team, so I've been making posts to my schools, like my programs, like Instagram and Facebook, and then my own stuff. So been doing that. And it's been a pain in the ass, low-key. But I wanted to challenge myself with social media stuff because the last internship I had doing social media stuff did not go so well. It's just, I think we weren't meshing as people. So it made the internship just kind of not go together well. But yeah, I wanted to challenge myself about doing that. So been doing that, steady, consistent. And yeah, thinking about that. So that's the school stuff. That's what we're literally doing in class. And we got to do our presentation, stuff like that. But yeah, this collection, ideas of collections, really, I think, clicked in once we were getting close to submitting our stuff to the printer. I feel like I knew that I wanted to have maybe a companion piece to this or something like that. I think I'm less inclined to expand this unless this is a year later, 5-year anniversary, 10-year anniversary, and I had the idea just expand it every decade that it's out or something like that, and that'll be cool or whatever. I feel like that makes more sense. That way people get new material a decade on, 2 decades on. It's I don't know, a real collector's item. So yeah, I kind of feel like I'm not going to do much with my thesis. I kind of feel like I don't need to expand it. I feel like because I write to concept, the concept is complete on its own, and I don't need to kind of fill in anything. It's exactly what I was trying to say. You know what I'm saying? It's going for what I want to say for that time period, that project. The next project I want to do is talking about other things. It expands on the previous thing, but I think it's really going to be its own kind of thing. There's a demarcation between the experiences in that and the experiences going forward. Even if the time span is a little bit shorter for this next collection, the companion collection to my thesis, it's still its own kind of universe thing happening. So I've been thinking about that. I have been using, hopefully I don't knock you over. I've been using my Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, and this has been such a great help because I already had inklings of what I wanted this collection to be. And I literally was I'm gonna start using my tarot, just getting my cards for myself because I've taken quite a long break from doing tarot. I have a tarot reading channel, And I've taken a long break from doing anything on that channel, and I've started to kind of do my altar again and pull cards again and stuff like that. I haven't officially gone back to reading on that channel, but I've become a little bit more active in the last like month or two. I think I had like a 3-month gap or something like that, 4-month gap, but I've definitely slowed down since 2024, 2025 especially. So this deck has been getting me through. It's really cool. It's a really lovely deck, and I just have been pulling cards, and these cards are giving me ideas about the poems, the energies around the poems, the energies and experiences, and the themes that I wanted to touch on. Some of the cards that have come up for me when I've like, you know, it's not give myself a reading, but I've just been flipping, you know, shuffling the cards, and whatever comes out comes out. Have been aligning with what I was thinking about, and I was like, oh, this deck is so in tune, you know. And I really enjoy that. So I'm using this tarot deck to flesh out some of the main core energies around what I want to talk about. And it's been a fun process. Another thing I want to do is the micro chapbook and just regular chapbook kind of things. I think that having a few things out this year in that regard would be cool. I'm interested in writing again, as in getting published. I looked at my like website that we built, and I looked at that, and I looked at that and saw the little gap. Like the first thing on there is like 2018, then it goes to 2022, then it goes to 2024, and then it goes to 2026. And I was like, I'm ready to like be consistent and like publish that like a lot more. So writing about that. I also did a poetry panel this past week, which would be like 2 weeks from when you see this, but a poetry panel, and we had to do little guided lessons, and so I talked about that. And of course I like showed up and like freeballed it, and then when I was riding home, the whole lesson came to me, and of course I was driving, so I couldn't write down anything. You know, you like think about this stuff, but now I want to like make that a core lesson that I was working for. So I'm in this creative space, creativity vibe, and I'm really happy about that. I'm wrapping up the thesis stuff. Of course, I have to like show up and like read and do my book sales and stuff like that in terms of participating in the graduate like reading activities that we've planned. And then once that's over, like, you know, shop it around in terms of like book talk, you know, poetry readings, talks, stuff like that, like workshops. But as far as like the actual creative part of like adding to it, that's kind of over as far as I see. One thing I was interested in, I gave let somebody borrow a book about Haibun, and I started getting into Haibun. I was going to incorporate that, but then decided to do Zuihit. So instead, I wanted to study the form a little bit more, and I have a kick-ass idea for it, so I'm gonna like pursue that. But today, like, I was supposed to give it to her at my internship, but the person just never showed up, so I was like, okay. Ah, my tooth, no. Okay. But while I was like working on some stuff for the internship, I was looking up haikus, and then I went down a rabbit hole of like the way that we see haiku is like technically incorrect in the English speaking world. Like the structure of it is 5-7-5. However, they were talking about in the articles that I was coming across that like 5-7-5 is dealing with like English syllables, and that Japanese words are not equivalent in terms of how they would count a syllable or how they would count a sound. It's not the same. And honestly, 11 17, what is that, 17? Yeah, 17 syllables is quite wordy for the Japanese version of the haiku because of how the language is structured. And so I went down this whole rabbit hole of, well, then what do? Like, apparently they traditionally write it like just one line, and it's roughly like 11 syllables for Japanese will make the equivalent of 17 when you transliterate like how the syllables actually are functioning in Japanese language. And I just found that so fascinating because it's like, you know, you get taught very early on if you introduce haiku that it's 575. It's 575. And then like what's the other one? Is it tanka? That's the other one. That's 575. What is it? 55 or something like that. Yeah. The tanka is 575. 57577. And then what's the ringa? The ringa is kind of like the same, but like that. These things are not. If you were to do them in the Japanese language, they wouldn't look the same. And so I like went down the rabbit hole and thought about how I could then be freed of the confines of the haiku, because the haiku, I like restraint, and so the haiku offers a lot of restraint. But if more 11 syllables or so, or sounds in Japanese, is kind of more the limit, then what can we do with like that in English? And then also like if we're going to keep the 575, like how do we start deviating it a little bit so that we can kind of start to see what we can do with it. So yeah, like it became like a really interesting like trip journey. I do want to get some more books on like writing and stuff like that. So I have been looking on craft books. I've been talking to like a former classmate of mine, and we have really good discussions about stuff like this. And I think I'm in the space of wanting to do more craft kind of discussions. I think because I'm not in school, and I feel like in school the authority on that is more of like the professor. And now that I am leaving, I want to pursue the things that like I'm interested in. So I'm gonna see, let me see if I can find the book that I was looking into. And I was trying to see if I could specifically find it. It's a Japanese guy. Oh my god. I don't think any of these are. No. Because these are all like, learn Japanese, learn haiku. And it's just like, oh my god. And I don't even know what sparked me to like look this up. I think I was just like interested in, yeah, learning about this. Okay, so the website I went to about this is called gracecuts.com. And so the article is titled Urban Myth of 575. And then I started going to different like websites based off of that. So like one of the things it says in here, okay. Let's go with this. Many people have been taught, this is from the gracecuts.com, like essay or whatever. Many people have been taught in schools that haiku is a 575 syllable form of poetry. In Japan, they don't actually count syllables at all, but sounds, and it's sort of an urban myth that haiku should be 575 syllables in English, despite how widespread the belief is. The word haiku itself counts as 2 syllables in English, but 3 sounds in Japanese, counted as haiku. Even if that's not how they say it. Consequently, despite how haiku has been widely mistaught in school for decades, roughly 10 to 4 syllables of English is the equivalent and linked to a haiku in Japanese. Far more important, though, are other techniques for haiku that have unfortunately been obscured by most of the misteaching of haiku in schools or the abuse of the genre in popular media. These more important techniques include the kigo, season word, kireji, cutting word, or dividing the poem into two juxtaposed yet reverberating parts, primarily objective sensory imagery based on one's five senses, not one's interpretation of them, or upon intellect of pure imagination, and other techniques. These essentials are seldom taught in schools, yet are vital to haiku. So they have recommendation of William J. Higginson's The Haiku Handbook and the Haiku Anthology. And it says, it's not a matter of haiku in English traditionally being 575 or perhaps being changed. The problem is that haiku should never have been taught as 575 syllables in English in the first place. To assume that haiku should be 575 in English is like assuming 100 yen is equivalent to $100. It's not. The 100 yen store is like the dollar store. It's like, you know? One needs to think about the value of what one is counting, not just apply the same number to something that's actually a different in another language. The significant problem, too, is that the perpetuation in schools and textbooks of the 575 myth for haiku in English has been to the serious detriment of content and other techniques. In that sense, perhaps the VCBF Haiku Invitational is corrective, even while it seeks participation and celebration. I guess they're talking about like some sort of event. So yeah, they recommend further reading short essays by Kaiko Amaoka and John Dunphy. And so, yes. Okay, so that is the article or essay that I came across. And I was like, this is actually really cool. I'm like, interested in this, and this got me thinking about wanting to do like language study and then go forward with that. But I really am intrigued now by the haiku and therefore the haibun, like how it's supposed to function, you know. But it's like I understand that it's supposed to function in that, but it's like a whole different language. And so like when you translate things, what gets lost, what gets gained, what gets maintained, those are questions that I like am interested in, you know. So I'm thinking, but yeah, I'm ready to write again. Give me a few months and I'll start talking about that. But yeah, I'm ready to write again. The haiku, this jumping off point, seems like really cool. I'm gonna start maybe with that because I think it fits like the micro chapbook. Well, the micro chapbook, sorry, not macro. Micro chapbook kind of idea. And I have some hard deadlines coming up. But I'm ready to like write again. So there's that. So thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.